Okay, I believe we have everybody. Well, Commissioner Skinner's not here. Have you all seen him this evening? You've heard from him? Okay. I haven't heard from him. Okay. All right, so if Commissioner Skinner's not going to be in attendance, I believe we're ready to call the meeting to order. Looks like it's about time, doesn't it? I'll ask Sheriff Lewis to please call the meeting.
All rise, please. Yes, sir. Yes, the Montgomery County Board of County Commissioners now in session pursuant to adjournment. God save the state and its honorable Board of County Commissioners.
Thank you, Sheriff. Now we'll call on our chaplain, Commissioner Creek, for the invocation.
Let us pray. Thank you to God for this legislative body and their willingness to serve. We just ask that you be with the other legislative bodies that are going to be seated during this next week and the days ahead, both at federal level, state level. And we just pray for our city officials too that have just been seated. We just pray for guidance and wisdom for them as well. As we look back over the past 10 years after the tornado, and we have that anniversary coming up on the 22nd, we thank you how you blessed us by not having any casualties, injuries, the way that we were able to recover, and we thank you for the leadership that was provided during those early days. Be with us, legislative body, now. Give us wisdom and guidance. And when our views differ, let us respect one another. For it's in Christ's name we pray, amen.
Amen. Please remain standing for the pledge of the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. I'll ask the clerk to please register your roll, the roll call, or register your attendance. Okay, thank you. Commissioner Skinner, you okay? Commissioner Skinner, you didn't get in a fight after the ball game, did you? Okay, I'm glad you were here. We've been told you might not be here. Okay. First of all, we have the approval of the December 8th minutes. I hope you've had an opportunity to look over those. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes for December the 8th meeting. Motion made by Commissioner Brightman. Do I have a second? Second by Commissioner Harrison. All in favor of approving the minutes as presented, please signify by registering on your vote. Register your vote of approval. Clerk, will you please tally the vote?
We have 21 ayes. My microphone's on. But 21 ayes, 0 abstentions, 0 noes.
Okay, the minutes stand approved as presented. Thank you. All right, now we have coming forward our zoning resolutions. And let's see, do we have somebody in attendance from the Planning Commission? Okay, Mr. Riggins, thank you. We have 4 zoning resolutions on the agenda. The first one is CZ 20-2008. Do we have a motion to bring this resolution forward? Motion made by Commissioner Albert. Do we have a second? Second made by Commissioner Kendall. Is there any discussion on this zoning resolution? Commissioner Rankin.
Thank you, Mayor Bowers. I needed to ask again on this particular parcel, and I guess I need to direct this to Mr. Riggins. The was the entire parcel at one time M1, and then it was the entire parcel was changed to M2?
It was just the other way around.
Okay, the entire parcel was
M2.
Okay,
It was part of the Union Carbide site
okay.
at the time, so that whole area out there where Union Carbide was zoned M2. Sometime a year or a year and a half ago, Mr. Robinson asked for that part of the property that he had purchased to go to M1.
Okay, is the part that he purchased in the red boundary here?
Yes, it is.
And then it was changed to M1, and now he's just asking for a little bitty piece of it to be changed back to M2?
That's correct, yes, ma'am.
Like 10 acres out of the whole thing?
Right.
Okay. I'm a little concerned about just doing dabs of zoning, I guess you'd say it like that. Like, with it not actually surveyed off, and we don't know exactly which 10 acres. I know we've got a little hatch mark here, but if we just change 10 acres to M2, then it could be any 10 acres on that whole parcel.
No,
I'm saying.
you have a survey
You
of
do?
that 10 acres.
Okay.
And it is exactly as shown on the crosshatch. And so the legal description in your resolution was taken from a survey of this 10 acres. So where you see that there, if it's approved, that's exactly where the M2 will be. It doesn't shift.
Does it have a separate tax number for tax purposes because they're taxed differently?
Not at this time, as I'm aware, it does. I'm not aware at this time that it has a separate one. That'll be something that the tax assessor's office will pick up at the time the property is put to use, is my understanding.
So, how will it be taxed right now?
I don't know. I couldn't tell you which rate it's been taxed at now.
But at some point, if it's used as M2, then that 10 acres will be taxed as M2, but the rest of it will still be taxed at some other rate?
I do not know. If this property is put to an industrial use, it will go to the 40% assessment. How the remaining vacant property is being assessed, I could look at the tax roll, but I didn't do that before I came, to see whether it's 20 or 40%, 25 or 40%. I think it's probably 25 since there is no use on the property except for vacant land. Now this sliver that you see just to the bottom or to the south of that M1, that kind of irregular sliver along Hampton Station Road,
That's ag?
that's M1. That's kind of to the south of this piece. Fronts on Guthrie Highway along Hampton Station Road. There are many storage buildings that have been built on that, so that assessment should be changing to a 40% to accommodate those many warehouses. But other than those and this tract, the remaining part of that M1 that you see there is vacant.
I'm just a little bit concerned about just taking small pieces of these tracts like that and rezoning them when they're actually not in use. And as for one thing, the taxability of it, and I would like to amend this motion to approve and ask that this be deferred until we get some more clarification on how it's going to be taxed and how it's going to be handled in two different parcels like that.
Okay.
I'd like to make that in the form of a motion.
I think you need to do one or the other, either amend it or defer it, probably defer it.
Oh, okay, I'll move to defer it then.
Okay, motion has been made by Commissioner Rankin to defer this zoning case. Do I have a second? Second by Commissioner Miles. Okay. Any further discussion on deferring this zoning case? Commissioner Miles.
I think Commissioner Bryant was
Okay.
I had another question, but I'll wait until after.
Okay.
That's after I took mine off.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you, Mayor Bowers. I just wanted to say, I agree with Commissioner Rankin. I'm concerned about, and I think we have more than one case tonight, where they just want a little piece change that's within a larger body of land. And it seems to me that we may be creating a problem later on. Or what?
Your comments right now need to be limited to the motion to defer.
Oh, well, oh.
Any further discussion on the motion to defer? Okay, you ready to vote? Okay, we call for the question. Let's see, hold on. Do we have anybody else?
Well,
I
I
thought
was
saw another.
going to go on and say that I thought it would be appropriate maybe for us to have a committee to review our stance on this. Is that appropriate? Does that connect to the motion to defer? To defer it long enough for us to come up with a policy? No.
Well, the Regional Planning Commission serves that purpose, am I not correct?
Yes, ma'am. I'm not speaking about the motion to defer, that's something that could be, but I would like to address your question. I've got an explanation for you on the split zoning.
Let's let them speak for just a moment.
Commissioner Miles, if you'd like to do that, you would have to vote down the motion to defer and then make a motion to refer it to a committee, if you'd like a committee to study it.
You can't refer it to a committee after it's deferred?
We don't have a committee to study zoning, so.
I know, I was going to suggest that maybe you appoint one. That was my idea, because I think this is gonna keep coming up. I think we're gonna keep having these with this new, everything going on in the county.
Okay, let's see what Mr. Riggins has to say, then we'll come
If
back.
I need to address that later, I can, but I would like to, at the appropriate point, with the motion, whatever the motion's on the
Okay.
floor.
All right, I guess what we need to do right now is go ahead and vote on the motion to defer. Yeah, we need to vote on the motion to defer this, and then we can go back and discuss whether it's deferred or either way. All right? Are you ready for the question on the motion to defer? Another question? I don't see another. Oh, Commissioner Rankin?
I was actually just gonna say, if we defer it, can we still come back and talk about it tonight? How we want to handle it? Or is it just deferred until next month and we go?
Since this is a formal meeting, that really would be appropriate, wouldn't it?
So we can't continue to talk about it if we vote on the motion to defer?
No, not at that point, it'll be off the agenda.
I don't want it to, I think I'm gonna withdraw my motion to defer right now so that we can continue discussing this issue.
Mr. Miles, do you go on with that? Okay, so the motion and the second to defer have been withdrawn, so we can continue discussion. All right, now the floor is still open to discussion. Did you want to make a comment, Commissioner Reyes?
No.
Okay. Commissioner Bryant?
I just had a question for David, and that is, even though it's had a survey, like, and not just this particular parcel, but some of the others that we've had, even though they've had a survey, they actually have not recorded this as an individual parcel.
This particular one, that's correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
So as of now, it's still one parcel, although they do have a survey for this 10 acres.
Yes, ma'am.
Is the procedure, if they were to vote, that they pass this, let's say, then would the procedure be, they've already applied for it, paid the application fee, that it would be recorded as a separate parcel, or not necessarily?
Not necessarily. And if I could answer your question first, Ms. Miles. You're talking about the split parcels and how decreasing areas could, often or create split zonings, which you thought could be a problem. We have many of those all over the county that are done routinely. The tax assessor's office assesses properties normally, from what I understand, at the time that they are put into use, whether it be residential, commercial, or industrial. And it doesn't matter even what the zoning is on it. It's the use that goes on that site that is assessed at a particular rate. So the split zoning does not cause a problem for us, and to my knowledge, does not cause a problem for the tax assessor in assessing the appropriate taxes. If you remember, there have been several times when zoning cases have come to y'all in the past, and there have been concerns about the entire area being asked to be rezoned. And we've been requested to talk to the applicant to see if they would decrease the commercial area into just what they might want to use at the time. That's done quite often. Ms. Rankin, there was one in your district a couple of years ago on the old Hayes farm where they had asked for the whole thing and it was cut back just enough to accommodate. So that's not uncommon at all, and it's not a problem that I have been aware of for parcels to have split zoning. You're welcome.
All right, Commissioner Bryant?
I have one more hypothetical question. You can answer yes or no.
Okay.
Assuming that we were to vote yes on this and it were to pass, the property owner could choose not to deed the property, if it's spec property for sale or for his use or whatever, until the necessary time that he was going to use it, he or she was going to use it. Now, during that time, there could be an assessment of property and it still be assessed at M1, and then the M2 might not be assessed until the next time somebody goes out and sees whether or not there's a building or a building permit comes through or whatever.
I think that would be the case whether it's on M1 or M2. It really doesn't matter. It's when the improvements
Are made.
are made on the property. So you could have similar uses that are allowed in M1 and M2, like mini storage. They're allowed in both. Whether it's on M1 or M2, the assessments won't change until the use is physically put on the property.
I think he told us the other night, is this came to us before and been changed to M1 in the last couple of years?
Yes, ma'am.
It was ag, or
It was M2
it was M2?
originally as part of the Union Carbide tract.
Okay, and then we rezoned it to M1, and now they're asking
To go back to M2, yes, ma'am.
for this particular area.
Correct.
Is there anything currently on this property?
Not on this 10 acres, no, ma'am.
Okay, but on the other portion of the M1, is there? There is?
Mini storage,
Okay,
fairly new, they are new mini storage buildings.
okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Albert.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Is it not uncommon to have a big block of land and individual companies want to come in and the owner just wants to sell to those, say you have 4 companies that want to get on this parcel? Why is it not allowed to let 4 companies buy whatever land they need to use there?
It is allowed, as long as those individual tracts, if they're sold off, meet the minimum zoning standards. They have to do that before they can obtain a building permit.
Okay.
Commissioner Stover.
Thank you, Mayor Bowers. You were talking about the collection of taxes on a piece of land that you have to rezone to use. Is that by state law?
That's something you probably have to ask Ms. Brochus about, rather than me, as far as when property is assessed and at what rate. That's not my department.
Because it seems to me 4 or 5 years ago, we had a discussion as to whether or not we wanted the ability to be able to tax it at the time it was rezoned, instead of waiting until the land is developed later on, because we could lose 4 or 5 years worth of revenue on a piece of property that's in one classification to the other.
I understand what you're saying, but our department deals with zoning. The county assessor's office deals with assessment and taxes.
And the Division of Property Assessment at the state level would control that. You know, the other ones that are, would be done at the local level. And it is on a usage basis, land use.
But that's at a state,
That's right, the state did tax that.
All right, thank you.
Commissioner Rankin.
Thank you, Mayor Bowers. I still just think we need to be really careful and maybe even study it more, how we are rezoning these parcels of land, especially around the new mega site and around the old industrial park. It's bothersome to me to just take small tracts like near R1 and turn them into M1 and then M2 and then turn them back. And then we've got 2 other zoning cases tonight that are similar to this. So I would like to see some kind of in-depth consideration of this type of zoning, especially now, because we're going to have a whole lot of cases coming up in the near future, I think.
Well, I can tell you that our staff has studied this quite thoroughly. I mean, every case that comes through, we look at our future land use plan, we look at compatible uses in the area, and we do study those in depth. You know, in the end, if you all feel different, that's another matter, but we do take them very seriously.
This is close to some agriculturally zoned land. It's also close to some R1.
Right.
Did you take that into consideration?
Yes, ma'am. The overriding factor of this whole case was that in times past, that property was zoned M2. There could have been a salvage yard put there. There could have been a rock quarry put there. You know, and then, of course, it was rezoned to M1, but this current request, and I'm not trying to sway you on which way you go on this current request, what it all boils down to is simply to go back to the way it was.
Is it more restrictive? Are they asking for a more restrictive or a less, they're asking for a less restrictive zone?
M2 is less restrictive than M1.
I don't know, I'm concerned about it.
Okay.
Commissioner Ederly.
Are we rezoning M2 to M1 to accommodate the mini warehouse?
No, sir, those are already in the M1 to the south of this parcel. And those mini warehouses are allowed in both M1 and M2.
Any further questions or comments? Question's been called for. And I remind you, this is the main zoning resolution with no amendments, okay, or deferrals or anything. All right, the question's been called for. Commissioners, please cast your votes on zoning resolution CZ-20-2008. Will the clerk please tally the votes?
We have 16 ayes, 0 abstentions, 5 noes.
This zoning resolution passes. Thank you. All right, the next zoning resolution you have on your agenda this evening is CZ-21-2008. A resolution of Montgomery County Board of Commissioners amending the zone classification of the property of Tia R. Keese. Do I have a motion to bring this resolution to the floor? A motion is made by Commissioner Kelly. Do I have a second? Second by Commissioner Bryant. Any discussion on this zoning resolution? Ready to vote? Question's been called for. Commissioners, please cast your votes on zoning resolution CZ-21-2008. Would anyone like to change their vote? Will the clerk please tally the votes?
We have 21 ayes, 0 abstentions, 0 noes.
This resolution passes. Thank you. The third one on the agenda is CZ-22-2008, a resolution of the Montgomery County Board of Commissioners amending the zone classification of the property of Harold Tracy. Do I have a motion to bring this resolution to the floor? Motion is made by Commissioner Milliken. Do I have a second? Second by Commissioner Brockman. Any discussion on this resolution? Commissioner Milliken.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mayor Bowers. This is in District 7. It's directly in front of the Bi-County landfill, and this will certainly be an improvement to this small land. The developer is going to put a commercial business there. I think there'll be some storage buildings, and I'd like to encourage you to vote for this. Thank you.
All right, Commissioner Miles.
That answered my question. Thank you.
All right, any further questions or comments on this zoning resolution? Question's been called for. Commissioners, please cast your votes on zoning resolution CZ-22-2008. Would any commissioner like to change their vote? Will the clerk please tally the votes?
We have 19 ayes, 0 abstentions, 2 noes.
This resolution passes. Thank you. Okay, the next resolution on our agenda is CZ-23-2008, resolution of the Montgomery County Board of Commissioners amending the zone classification of the property of Pool House Properties. Do we have a motion to bring this resolution forward? Motion made by Commissioner Creed. Do we have a second? Second's made by Commissioner Paletti. Any discussion on this zoning resolution? Commissioner Rankin.
There was quite a bit of confusion last week on exactly what this applied to.
I believe we were supposed to go to
We're gonna
the
get
map.
another picture.
Mr. Riggins, did you happen to bring another map? Okay.
Yeah, we
Oh, they all have them? Okay, so you all have them. Okay, do you have any questions of Mr. Riggins on that new map? Did you say yes, Commissioner Robart? Okay, would you please come forward, Mr. Riggins? Oh, I'm sorry, I see another one back there, Commissioner Bassett.
You can go ahead, man.
But I saw you nodding yes before I saw him. So, go ahead.
Appreciate the map you've given us. There's some blocks that are not checked with the proper zoning. Do you have that information for us?
lots of those.
Rollo Lane, you know what zone that is?
This is Rollo Lane.
Yes, sir. That rectangle you just passed, there's no zoning. Is that AG or C? What is it?
The red lines are the zone boundary lines. So everything within those red lines, for instance, this C5 right here includes this property, this one, and these. It's the red boundary line that borders the zone classification.
So what is the one above it then? C?
This one,
Yes,
that's R1.
R1.
Yeah, everything, excuse me,
It says C2 up there.
everything,
It's outside the boundary. It's not in that boundary.
well, there's a C2 block right here. Right here. And it's outlined in red. The other red boundary that comes down here like this, comes all the way over here, everything in there is R1. All those multiple parcels.
So the weird shape right above it's R1.
Yes, sir.
David, up there, the C2, two C2s are, is that just a small portion?
Yes, it is.
I think that's what we were looking at.
There's an entry road that goes into that new subdivision, and it's the two lots on either side of that entry road at the intersection of Dunlop Lane and Third.
If y'all look at the old map we got last week, it's handed out a little bit, it shows more of that neighborhood.
Just remember, the black lines are the parcel lines, and the red lines are the perimeters of what may be zone R1 or C2 or R4. So everything within those red boundary lines is zoned the same, even though it may be multiple parcels. Okay?
Okay. All right, Commissioner Ray, you still have a question?
Thank you, Mayor Bowers. So, Mr. Riggins, everything in behind this hatched area, above it and below it, is R1.
Yes, ma'am.
And what is allowed on C5?
C5 is a highway and arterial commercial district. It's intended for commercial uses that are more oriented toward vehicular traffic, like restaurants, motels, drive-in commercial uses and things like that. It's not as wide open as C2, which is a general commercial, but it does allow those type of uses.
Is it compatible with the R1, with no buffering?
Well, it is an extension of existing C5, which is all along here. Now, the R1 that's back in here is not developed. So
Is the C5 in front of it developed?
the C5 has a church that's right here, and I'm not sure if it's in place now, but we've had site plan approval for supporting a sports facility, outdoor sports facility here. So it being adjacent to that already existing C5 was one reason that we were comfortable with this. The other is that, you remember this C5 here was originally requested to be looked at by the Industrial Development Board, to be used as a commercial or a non-residential buffer with their new industrial park expansion there. So our opinion was this would only help that situation in adding a non-residential buffer close to that industrial site.
So you have to have C5 for a church, you said?
No, ma'am. It's just that the church chose to go there, and it was a use allowed in C5. Churches are allowed in practically all zone districts. There are a couple that they're not, but C5 is one of them that they are.
But what is going to go down here towards the bottom in the C5? Just tell me again what those proposed uses are, and the one right above it.
There's a church here.
Okay.
I don't recall seeing anything for this piece, but up in this part right here, we have reviewed and approved a site plan for an outdoor sports facility, ball fields, soccer fields, things like that.
Okay. So this behind it might be used for parking or something?
They have not designated what that's going to be used for.
But do you have to have it rezoned C5 if you're gonna allow it for parking?
No, not if you just use it for parking.
So it'd be maybe some kind of extension of the sports field?
I really couldn't say. Are you here on this, Mr. Bagwell? I don't know if you want to hear from him or not. He's the project engineer for the site.
Sure.
I believe the sports field was approved through the planning commission, I want to say 2 years ago, something like that. Currently, that is not part of the owner's plan, is to build that. At the time, they were going to sell off a piece of the property to someone who was going to build a sports field. At this time, as part of this zoning request, there really are no concrete plans for the property.
Oh, so no sports field either?
It's not on the immediate plan.
So you don't know why they're requesting the C5 zoning?
Well, like I said last week, their initial plan is they think they want to do a commercial type subdivision, so that's not anything that's set in stone at this point.
Oh, a commercial type subdivision?
Something similar to Clarksville Business Park.
Where you have offices and things like that?
And again, it's purely hypothetical at this point, but that's one of the ideas that's being talked about by them.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any further questions while Mr. Bagwell's up here? Mr. Bansack, Commissioner Bansack.
I've got a question for Mr. Riggins,
Okay, thank you.
and this may be an ignorant question. You may have answered this in previous months, and I apologize if I don't recall. Is there a buffer required when a C5 property is developed between C5 and R1?
Not in the county.
Okay, and that answer, I was curious to know if there was one, and then this being a split zoning on one parcel. All right, thank you.
On the issue of the buffer, the city a few years ago adopted a landscape ordinance that did require vegetation buffers between incompatible zone districts, but the county has not to this point. So other than setbacks, normal setbacks, there are no screening or buffering requirements.
Thank you.
Any further questions on this zoning resolution? Question's been called for. Commissioners, please cast your votes on zoning resolution CZ-23-2008. Thank you, Mr. Riggins. Would any commissioner like to change their vote? Will the clerk please tally the votes?
We have 17 ayes, 0 abstentions, 4 noes.
This zoning resolution passes. Thank you. Okay. Now we have our regular resolutions to vote on. First one on the agenda is 09-1-1. This is a resolution authorizing an interlocal contract between Montgomery County and the City of Clarksville for implementation and administration of the City of Clarksville's tax freeze program. And I might add that the Budget Committee voted unanimously to pass this forward to the Commission. And if you'll recall, it was at no cost to the county, no additional cost. Do I have a motion to bring this resolution before the Commission? The motion's been made by Commissioner Creek. Do we have a second? Second by Commissioner Alder. Any discussion on this on this resolution? Question's been called for. Commissioners, please cast your votes on resolution 09-1-1. Would any commissioner like to change their vote? Will the clerk please tally the votes?
We have 21 ayes, 0 abstentions, 0 noes.
This resolution passes unanimously. Second resolution on our agenda this evening is 09-1-2, a resolution of the Montgomery County Board of Commissioners approving amendments to the 2008-9 General Purpose School Fund budget. We have a motion, I might add also that this was voted on unanimously by the Budget Committee to move forward to the full commission. Do we have a motion to bring this forward? Motion is made by Commissioner Kelly and seconded by Commissioner Skinner. Any discussion on this resolution? Question's been called for on resolution 09-1-2. Commissioners, please cast your votes. Would any commissioner like to change their vote? Will the clerk please tally the votes?
We have 21 ayes, 0 abstentions, 0 noes.
All right, this resolution passes unanimously. Thank you. All right, the third resolution on our agenda this evening is 09-1-3, a resolution of the Montgomery County Board of Commissioners approving amendments to the 2008-2009 School Transportation Fund budget. Do I have a motion to bring this resolution forward? Motion is made by Commissioner Brockman, seconded by Commissioner Jenas. Any discussion on this resolution? Question's been called for. Commissioners, please cast your votes on resolution 09-1-3. Would any commissioner like to change their vote? Will the clerk please tally the votes?
We have 21 ayes, 0 abstentions, 0 noes.
Resolution passes unanimously. Thank you. The last resolution on our agenda is 09-1-4, a resolution to authorize the Montgomery County trustee to open accounts and invest public funds. And again, this was moved forward unanimously by the Budget Committee. And this is really a formality to just get a resolution passed so that it just verifies what the Tennessee Code says. There is, we need to make a change on this. Okay. Do we have a motion to bring this forward? Motion made by Commissioner Skinner and seconded by Commissioner Creek. Commissioner Paletti.
Mayor, I'd like to propose a motion to amend the resolution. In the, in the third paragraph, after the whereas, the second word, to strike the word the.
Okay. All right, we have a motion to strike the word the after whereas in the third paragraph. Do we have a second on that amendment? Second by Commissioner Bryant. Okay, all in favor of voting for the amendment, please signify by, I guess, do we need to cast a vote? I guess we do. Please cast your votes. This is on the amendment to make a typographical correction in paragraph 3. Any commissioner like to change their vote? Need one more vote. Okay. Will the clerk please tally the votes?
We have 21 ayes, 0 abstentions, 0 noes.
Okay, now the amendment to the resolution passes. Now we're voting on the amended resolution, or is there any discussion on the amended resolution? Question? Okay, the question's been called for. Commissioners, please cast your votes on the amended resolution 09-1-4. Oh, we do. All right. Would any commissioner like to change their vote? Will the clerk please tally the votes?
We have 21 ayes, 0 abstentions, 0 noes.
Okay, the amended resolution passes unanimously. Thank you. All right, that completes our resolutions. Do we have any unfinished business to bring forward? All right. We have reports. Next on the agenda, the county clerk's report, and this requires approval from the county commission. Clerk, will you please present your report?
Comes Kelly A. Jackson, County Clerk, Montgomery County, Tennessee, and presents the county clerk's report for the month of December 2008, which includes applications for notary public positions and bonds and oaths of qualified notaries and deputy officials. I hereby request that the persons named on the list of new applicants to the office of notary public be elected, that the oaths of deputy officials be accepted, the bonds of qualified applicants to the office of notary public be approved, and the oaths of deputy sheriffs be accepted and their bonds therefore be approved as taken. This report shall be spread upon the minutes of the Board of County Commissioners. The only ones that we have to read into the record are the oaths of the deputy sheriff because of their bond. We have Jamie E. Dexter, James M. Porter, Stephen W. Shorey, Amanda L. Barra, and Paul W. Hughes. You also received the notary application list and qualified notaries for last Monday. There are no personal sureties on those. They are all corporately insured.
All right, we have a motion to approve the clerk's report. Motion's made by Commissioner Creek, seconded by Commissioner Miles. Any discussion? Ready for the vote? Okay, question's been called for. Commissioners, please cast your votes on the county clerk's report. Okay. Clerk, will you please tally the votes?
We have 21 ayes, 0 abstentions, 0 noes.
Okay, the clerk's report passes unanimously. Thank you. Okay, on the other reports that are filed, we have the December 2008 Permit Revenue and Adequate Facilities Tax Report. Should be included in your packet. Accounts and Budget Year-to-Date Report, Projects and Facilities Report, and the Trustees Report. And I believe Ms. Radford handed out one additional report right before the meeting as well. Okay. All right, the next thing we have on the agenda are nominations for the nominating committee, and I will ask the chairperson, Commissioner Miles, please give the report.
Thank you, Mayor Bowers. The nominating committee would like to nominate the following for the Agricultural Extension Committee: Jesse Ray Wilcox to replace William Osborne for a 2-year term to expire January 2011. Betty Barnett to replace Stacy Manise for a 2-year term to expire January 2011. Nancy Gahidi Colo, who is eligible to serve another 2-year term, this term to expire January 2011. For County Historian, Eleanor Williams, nominated to serve another 8-year term to expire January 2017. Jail and Juvenile Detention Committee, Letty Kendall is eligible to serve another 2-year term, and she is nominated to serve that term to expire January 2011. Ruth Milliken is nominated to replace Ron Sobel for a 2-year term to expire January 2011. Ed Baggett has been filling an unexpired term and is now eligible to serve his first 2-year term, and he is nominated to serve that term to expire January 2011. Nancy Gahidi Colo has been filling an unexpired term and is now eligible to serve her first 2-year term, and is nominated to serve that term to expire January 2011. John Jennings has been filling an unexpired term and is now eligible to serve his first 2-year term, and is nominated to serve that term to expire January 2011. David Ferris is nominated to replace Gene Washer for a 3-year term on the museum board to expire January 2012. We had nominated Mr. Gene Washer, but he had a conflict and resigned after being appointed in December 2008, so that was the reason for the other person. And I'm making that a formal promotion from the nominating committee.
All right, do we have a second? Second by Commissioner Ray. All right, Commissioners, you've heard your nominating committee report. Please cast your votes. Would any commissioner like to change? Excuse me. Any commissioner like to change their vote? Will the clerk please tally the votes on the nominating committees?
We have 19 ayes, 2 abstentions, 0 noes.
Okay, this nomination is approved. Thank you, or these nominations are approved. All right, next we have the county mayor nominations and appointments. First, let's take the nominations. We have the Animal Control and Adoption Service Committee, and these are 2-year terms with a 4-year maximum. Commissioner Miles, nominated to serve a 2-year term to expire January 2011. Carmen Hunter from the Humane Organization, elected to serve, or nominated to serve a 2-year term to expire January 2011. Tim Chandler from the City Police Department, nominated to serve a 2-year term to expire January 2011. Budget Committee, 1 year, not to exceed 4 years. Joe Creek, nominated to replace Ed Baggett for a 1-year term to expire January 2010. Jerry Albert, nominated to replace Loretta Bryant for a 1-year term to expire January 2010. Charles Keene, nominated to serve another 1-year term to expire January 2010. Letty Kendall, nominated to serve another 1-year term to expire January 2010. Judicial Commissioner, Steve Cutler, nominated to serve another one-year term to expire January 2010. Purchasing Committee, one-year term not to exceed 4 years. Mark Vanasak, nominated to serve another one-year term to expire January 2010. Benny Skinner, nominated to serve another one-year term to expire January 2010. Martha Brockman, nominated to serve another one-year term to expire January 2010. John Janus, nominated to serve another one-year term to expire January 2010. The Rules Committee, these are 2-year terms and 4-year maximum. Mark Vanasak, nominated to replace Lady Kendall for a 2-year term to expire January 2011. Ginger Miles, nominated to serve another one-year term to expire January 2010. Nick Robards, nominated to serve another one-year term to expire January 2010. Ed Baggett, nominated to serve another one-year term to expire January 2010. Charles King, nominated to serve another one-year term to expire January 2010. Okay, those are the county mayor nominations. Do we have a motion to approve those? Motion is made by Commissioner Miles. Do we have a second? Second by Commissioner Kelly. Any further nominations? Commissioner Rankin.
Thank you, Mayor Bowers. I don't have a nomination. I just have a question.
Okay.
On the Rules Committee, are these 2-year terms? Should everybody be serving 2-year terms? Because Commissioner Vanasak is serving a 2-year term, but everybody else says a 1-year term.
Yeah, this should say 2 years. That should be 2012. I'll double check it, but I'm pretty sure that's it. I don't have my book up here. Does anybody? Pardon?
The others, have they already started a year on that?
He's replacing Commissioner Kendall. And have you been on the Rules Committee 4 years, Commissioner Kendall?
Maybe it's a new committee. Maybe that's what it is.
You haven't been on there 4 years, Commissioner Kendall? Okay. Then if that's the case, I don't know why that came up.
But I was just wondering why everybody else is a 1-year.
I know, when I saw that, they're all the same.
Is it staggered terms or a fairly new committee possibly?
No. Commissioner Vanasak.
I was reading in the committee book this afternoon before I came in, and it does state that they are staggered terms.
Oh, okay.
And maybe back when this was set up, only one is 4 together and one is staggered, but it did say in the committee book that they are staggered terms.
And that, I know she does have it set when they go forward to different places, so that evidently that's the case. I would have to go bring my book, check it to see for this particular committee, but that's normally the way it works. If we find there's a mistake, we'll bring it back up at the next meeting, but I believe this is correct. Okay? I don't know why it would not be. Okay? So we will leave Mark Vanasak's name in the nomination, Mr. Commissioner Kendall, if that's okay. And then if it's not correct, we'll adjust it in February. Is that okay? Okay. All right, so those are all of the nominations. Now, did I have a motion? I had a motion and a second, didn't I? Okay. Any further discussion? Okay. Commissioners, will you please cast your votes on the county mayor nominations? Okay, would any commissioner wish to change their vote? Will the clerk please tally the votes?
We have 14 ayes, 7 abstentions, 0 noes.
Okay, these nominations are approved. Thank you. All right, next we have the county mayor appointments, the Residential Development Commission, and these are 2-year terms not to exceed 4 years. Carol Smithson has been appointed to fill the unexpired term of Morris Stevens as a school board member, the term to expire January 2010, and this is a joint appointment with the city mayor. Stormwater Board of Appeals, 2-year term not to exceed 4 years. Mark Cook is appointed to serve another 2-year term to expire January 2011. Steve Hamilton is appointed to serve another 2-year term to expire January 2011. Jim Maynard is appointed to serve another 2-year term to expire January 2011. William Crabtree is appointed to serve another 2-year term to expire January 2011. Eric Sims is appointed to serve another 1-year term to expire January 2010. Sharon Patterson is appointed to serve another 1-year term to expire January 2010. Stanley Frazier is appointed to serve another 1-year term to expire January 2010. And those are appointments, so they don't require a vote. Okay, the next thing on our agenda this evening. We have some announcements. There will be a special called meeting by the Regional Planning Commission on Friday of this week, January the 16th at 9 o'clock, to discuss the zoning for the Hemlock Semiconductor plant. You'll find an agenda on your desk. Did everyone find that when you came in this evening? All right, next you're invited to join us on Friday, January the 16th at 3:30 p.m. for a plaque dedication ceremony in memory of paramedic Joe Snow at the EMS Station 20, 1608 Haynes Street, the main station. Number 3, tomorrow night at 7 p.m. at the Civic Hall, there will be a public input meeting regarding Rotary and Civitan parks. So if you can get the word out to people in your areas, especially if you're representing that district or anybody in the county, city or county, to attend for public input on how that's to be designed, those two. Would really be helpful to have some public input, and we certainly welcome your attendance. Number 4, you had some information on your desk when you came in, a handout for your consideration on the Tennessee Code as it relates to filling a judicial vacancy or an elected official vacancy. And please become thoroughly familiar with that, because that's what we'll be discussing at the February informal meeting. Okay? Commissioner Bannister.
Yes, 2 things. Just wanted to point out that each of us received from our clerk our official notice of the vacancy. And so now we're under, I think, a 120-day deadline to fill the vacancy. And secondly, as chair of the Legislative Liaison Committee, I just wanted to report back to this body that last week we sat down and had what I thought was a great roundtable discussion with our state delegation. We met with them for about an hour and a half and just talked about each of the items, the process for getting them through, and I thought it was a very helpful meeting for us to learn the better pathways to get some of our agenda items through this year, hopefully. And so it was a real good discussion, so I just wanted to report back to you.
Thanks. And we're in the process of setting that meeting up with Commissioner Clark.
Thank you.
All right, Commissioner Bryant.
I just wanted to remind the nominating committee that in the past, we've got bios on people outside that they've recommended, and since we didn't have one in this package, I don't know if they didn't request them or what, but it's appreciated because then we know a little bit about that person.
Thank you. You know, Debbie's been out of my office. She had foot surgery, and that may be the reason we didn't get it all. I don't know. Mr. Lawson, we just didn't get passed through there.
Well, quite a few of those were just eligible to serve all the terms.
Right, and so you didn't have any point.
And then there were a couple that were kind of, one of them was somebody who had served on that committee before, so, you know, you kind of have to think that probably people know about that person. Then the one that was to replace Gene Marshall, that was kind of, we were taken by surprise with that because we thought we'd already gotten that kid. So I'm sorry that you didn't get those, but some of them sort of impressed us. We'll try to get them.
Okay, thanks. Commissioner Robles.
Hey, thank you, Madam Mayor. I received rules and procedure for filing the vacancy of the late Judge Hassel. This is pursuant to public chapter number 871, effective May 6, 2008. It looks like it was overtyped, the one that I have, because on the number 8, it talks about what we're going to do as a county commission, and according to the actual public chapter number 871, it gives us a little bit of variance on paragraph, section 3, paragraph E. The rule actually states the county legislative body shall adopt rules of procedure for eliminating nominees in cases where there are multiple nominees for appointment and no nominee receives a majority of the votes after the initial vote, and it stops there. But in what the handout that I received, is this a recommendation that we will take to the Rules Committee?
We have operated over the past 40 years, or I guess as long as we can find out under Robert's Rules of Order, and that's what the Rules Committee booklet says. So we would be following the guidelines under Robert's Rules of Order as far as electing somebody with a majority, a simple majority, and so that's why the handout was attached. That's why it didn't go in
The
first.
only concern I have, we also have rules around this body's governed, is that it's supposed to go in front of the committee. I think, I can't remember the exact page on that, I wish I brought my rules for the commission now, but I think it's section 4 where it states if it's, it needs to go in front of the committee.
If
I
what
mean,
needs to go in
we
front of the
haven't
committee?
taken this in front of the committee yet, and this is a very pertinent
Hold on, what needs to go in front of the committee?
on how the procedures and how we're gonna
That's why
nominate.
the rules committee meeting, 15.
But we have this procedure already in
That's
place.
just, no, it's, what we've printed out there is what the Tennessee code dictates. So the rules committee cannot dictate anything different because the state law takes precedence over what the rules committee can do.
Madam Mayor, in the handout that I received, in
You're talking about the handout you got tonight?
yes, ma'am.
Okay,
In
now,
number 8, it is pretty explicit on how we're gonna handle the vote. It states in here, in the case of multiple nominees, where no nominee receives a majority of the vote after the initial vote, the county legislative body shall continue to re-vote until a majority is reached, with no candidate being eliminated. Nowhere in public chapter 8, number 871, does it state to do that. Nowhere. Nowhere in public chapter number 871 does it state that you must follow our rules of order. This procedure needs to go in front of the rules committee. It needs, in my opinion, of course, you know what that
this
is.
is not anything that's been passed. It was for information. I told you that. It was an informational handout to
Okay.
give you to read before the rules committee meets. The rules committee is meeting the 15th, and
Yes,
the
ma'am.
rules committee, of course, is expected to be present, and all commissioners are invited to be present because it will be a public meeting.
Well, I just want to make sure that I understand that this is just a recommendation, and I presume from Austin P.
It's still subject to adoption by the county commission.
But this is just a recommendation that the rules committee cannot approve this whatsoever at this point.
Not at this point, I put that in there because I think it would be dangerous to change our practice of 40 years, 3 weeks before a nomination. So that's why I put it in there, because we are governed locally by Robert's Rules of Order. But that's why it's in there, but it's still subject to adoption by the county commission.
It'll be recommended by the rules committee and then voted on by the county commission before
And
the
I think the point was, I just want to make sure that the other commissioners understand that the piece of paper we have here is just a recommendation from
And
Austin.
that's what I said, it's an informational handout, just for your consideration.
Thank you, ma'am.
Any further questions or comments? Commissioner Bannister? Did you want to talk? Okay. Anyone else? We're not trying to, I don't want anybody to think we're trying to push anything. We're trying to get the law out there in front of you so you'll be aware when you come forward to propose these rules, so you'll know what the law says, and then it really leaves very little leeway other than for a few minor things. But that's what will be ironed out with the rules committee and presented to the full body. Okay, any further comments or questions? Okay, do I have a motion to adjourn? Okay, then I'm going to ask the sheriff to please close the meeting. Oh, I'm sorry.
Montgomery County Board of County Commissioners now stands adjourned. God save the state and this honorable Board of County Commissioners.
Thank you.